This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox Newscast. Hey. Hi, how's it going? I thought I had 50 seconds. Meg and I were just talking. Welcome to the X&C Podcast. Right behind this wall. Thank you for joining us. Right behind this wall is a huge heat pump that keeps this house warm in the wintertime, which we're already in here in Washington. And it's like, brrr. Meg's like, what's wrong with your mic? I'm like, nothing. Heat pump. Heat pump loud. Warmth good. Meg, how you been?
Oh man, I'm fantastic, and already chat's already starting. They're already on fire here. Magnum Westward, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I did a stop by on Web Dave's show last night with Wandering Dutch, and it was so much fun, man. We had such a great time, and you know what? We just talked about stuff. People are like, oh, you know what? I was saying things that people don't want to hear, and well, that's kind of what I do, right? So. They don't want to hear it, but they know
you didn't like Starfield. You said that they didn't like that one.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that, and it's just like Anyway, I don't want to get into that now.
Hey, I loaded up Starfield today. They have an HDR slider and they have a contrast slider and brightness slider, and so I crunched everything to get it. Now I can see why Starfield is washed out. When I get that contrast and brightness where I want, my ship is out to space and it's like cloaked in blackness with highlights. I'm like, ooh, that's really, really crazy. But welcome to the show. This is the X&C Podcast. I've got a new overlay. I spent a couple of days this week trying to clean it up because when I watched the show back on the phone when you and Gaz were in there and we were just kind of hanging out, on my phone it just looked like green barf. It's just too busy. And so I've been kind of trying to clean it up so that the highlight can be our wonderful old catcher's mitt of faces. So hit the like button if you're here and you're ready to hear about some good, exciting news and have some good talk from two seasoned veterans of gaming. My co-host, where is he?
Yes.
He's on this side. My co-host.
Yeah, I'm on that side. You're right. Yeah.
Middle-aged game guy. What have you been playing? We'll start with you and then remember to ask me because I want to talk to you about it.
Well, first of all, when you said seasoned gamers, you're not wrong. I've been gaming for 44 years. I started in 1979. The first game I ever played was Pong, and then the first arcade game I ever played was Asteroids, which came out in 1979. I was only 4 years old, and I was already playing those games. So yeah, 44 years. So anybody counting, I'm 48. Scott Gamer Dude, you're not wrong. I just said Starfield was not for me specifically. C-Note, what's up? Sorry, just saying hi to some people in the chat.
Yeah, of course.
I have been playing. Well, I've been playing. Funny enough, I'm trying to wrap up Spider-Man to get that platinum so I can get it out of my face. The more I play it, the more the game bothers me, and there's just I'm literally mopping up the game on mute now because I can't stand it. The writing is so. I'm not even going to get into all that stuff because someone's going to be like, "Man's being political."
Hold on, I've got some popcorn here.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Get the proverbial popcorn out. Otherwise I could be here for 2 hours about it. I'm playing the game on mute just so I can mop up the
Give me the short version. Briefly, what is it that you don't like? The dialogue?
Don't make me do it. The dialogue.
You don't have to be specific because people get upset. Ow, my nipples.
Yeah, I know. The ham-fisted, identity politics. Not Miles Morales, by the way. I love Miles. Actually, you know what's
Miles
funny?
is great.
I preferred Miles Morales in this game over Peter Parker. They turned Peter Parker into such a pussy. I could not even stand that man talking. He apologized for the last 7 hours of the game. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
He was like a husband. Sorry. He was like a husband and father, right? He was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I missed the spot when I mowed the lawn. Sorry about the stripes.
Like
sorry about
Mary Jane. Mary Jane's yelling at him about the mortgage, and he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, dude, you're Peter Parker. You should be kicking everyone's ass right now, not crying and apologizing. Meanwhile, Miles is out there just busting ass and doing what he's got to do, and he's just doing Miles stuff. And by the way, Miles' powers are way better than Peter Parker's. Like, when you hold the L1, you hold the L1.
I don't like the spider arms. They felt kind of lame, and Miles felt cool.
You know what's funny? They put the spider arms on Peter Parker. I hated them in the game, and I hated them in the movies. Remember when they started adding it in Infinity War?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, nobody wants to see that. You know what I mean? I want to see Peter Parker as Spider-Man doing cool stuff, not his stupid arms. You know what I mean? It was like when Iron Man got the not the symbiote. What the hell is it called? The nanotech mask, which basically was just a cop out because the actors were getting upset that they weren't getting enough face time in the movies. So they just go like the mask every time they spoke. And I'm like, can you guys stop? You're Iron Man, not nanotech fake CGI man. Like, you know what I mean?
Iron Man gets Satya Nadella's powers, like unlimited resources, money, and powers. Which is, it's funny. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about.
Yes, we are.
We're going to talk about Satya and AI because you and I have some good discussions on that. In the new overlay, I've got the crap. I left it. I didn't put a space in. I'll fix it later. I've got the basic set of the things that we're going to talk about today, so you know what you're in for. Welcome everybody. I'm Colteastwood, and that was Mag. Mag's amazing. It's good to have him back. He stopped by last week. This is
He sucks.
What?
He's all right. He's mediocre at best, I admit.
At best, I hate that. Whenever someone says at best, I'm like, yeah. So yeah, episode 126. Thank you for being here and supporting our show. We really appreciate it. News is on the downturn right now for the holidays while everybody gets ready to spend all their money on stuff they don't need, but everything that they want. So thank you for being here. Let me read out some of the channel member veterans and Patreon people real quick before we get into what I am playing, because I've got a little bit of gameplay to put up as well. I want to shout out KOI Bob, Assassin Lupa, Jazzy Newt Box, Ricky Felon, Hargeet Shawnee, Jason Lewan, Lord Synergy, Williams Rig, Farscape, Matt Houston, Zimic, Happy Bomb, Decatron, William Burns, William Lanza, Matt Burns, William Lanza, Udonna Kizada, Robert Jackson, V Simcoe, Assassin Poochie Dub, Raiden Blade, Biscuit, Perspective, Biscuit for the Biscuit, True 77, Micah Ford, Red Source, Attitude Here 12. Some of these I will shorten. Pen, Pineapple Pen, Trill Roberts, Darth, Sanji. He changed his name again. That's Macbound, Meat Puppet, Red Wolf, Alan Aldreet, Gamer by Chase, Jetty Golan, Rippin, Highlander, Techno Caveman, Fire 71, That Blue Number, Kung Fu Hot Dog, Uncle Chowder, Shooter 2853, Tex Made 3, VMAC, Cliptos 3, B Martin 001, Blink 182, SR 71, Sith Lord, Good Old Collingwood, Lawrence Davenport, Dead Time, Backstreet Boys, KJ War 855, Dusty Patterson, Dark War Wave Mortem, and Lord Starkiller X Series X 01.
Hold on a second. Did you just name like a bunch of bands, or was I just like
yeah.
Because I heard a Blink 182. I was talking to Talos Ray in the chat here. Hi, Talos. And all of a sudden I hear Blink 182 and Backstreet Boys. I'm like, wait a minute.
Can you imagine?
Are these new channel members that we need to know about? And should they be doing the new theme song? I think that Blink 182 does the actual music, and then the Backstreet Boys sing the song. I think it'll be a great idea. Perfect collaboration. What have you been playing, by the way?
This is a funny story if I keep it brief, but I was thinking, I'm like, I haven't finished Fallout 4 proper. For those of you who played the game, I'll keep this vague, but there's like a faction thing you can go through and you make a reveal of who a certain person is. And I was like, I've kind of tied this up, so I just murdered everyone in the building. And then when I left, I went to work with the Brotherhood of Steel, and they had me do something. They had me complete something I did in the end part of Fallout 3, and I'm like, I already did this a few years ago, so I think I stopped playing. Funny enough, Mag, as a sidebar, thanks to Red Wolf, we were talking about this because I said, I don't think I finished it. I'm going to go back and finish. I'm midway through a new playthrough. I'm just going to go through and finish the whole storyline properly and roll the credits and see it. And Red goes, well, do you have this achievement? And I look and I go, yeah. He goes, do you have this one? I go, yeah. And he goes, you beat the game. I'm like, I thought I didn't. Dang it. But the funny thing, Mag, was I played that game solid for 4 months.
Wow.
Before I was like, okay, I'm done. And I sat it down for like a year or two.
Wow.
Starfield.
Well,
Two solid months, and I'm pretty much done. Like I don't want to play it until they give it something new besides the hold the button to eat food and the contrast thing. So I was playing that.
So you're telling me you did some faction missions. So what you're telling me is that Xbox actually completed a factions game, but PlayStation couldn't? Okay, we're going to move on from here. Yeah, sorry. It was right. I know. It wasn't funny. I attempted some cracking humor.
The segue was wonderful. I love it. Yeah, it was funny because Red Wolf and I were talking about it. We just honestly could not remember how the game ended or if it rolled credits. I don't remember, but I think I picked the game up like a year later on PC and I started a whole new playthrough. And then I played it again when it got the Xbox One X version back in 2018 or whatever. So anyway, once we get live, when I get this thing live here, I've been playing. There he goes. I've been playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. It's the only thing I've played. And I played with That Blue Number, who's on Red Wolf's podcast, Realm Renegade podcast. There we go. I almost said the name that I make fun of. And on the Xbox Infinite. Oh my gosh.
What's your fire?
She's on a couple podcasts. So I played with her and I played with Dante. Yes, Dante. I can't remember, we played so much this weekend, but I just want to say, this is our first topic. Not the zombies, Mag, but there are really differing opinions about this year's Call of Duty, even though it's really low rated across the board. And I don't know if you followed what they've talked about with...
I gotta interrupt you. The chat
is there audio?
Yeah. He said game audio.
Cool. Hey, good... Hold on.
Reloading.
There we go. Good thing I didn't say anything important. Okay, all I said when you couldn't hear me was, I've been playing this game with... I hate it when I do that. Normally, I forgot. I brought this footage directly in from my thumb drive, so normally I would have... Yeah, anyway. I've been playing this game with Holly and Dante, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, and I immediately loved it. So what I want to talk about today is there's been differing opinions about this game as a whole, because it's a 4 out of 10. Like, it's a 5 out of... I think it's like a 58 on OpenCritic. And everyone's like it's unanimous that it's not a great game. But
right.
I want to talk about why people are saying this one is really good. And all I know is a zombie. So tell me what you've known, because I could talk about it for a few minutes.
No, talk. You inform me. Go.
Okay, so...
And by the way, Archelaus Prime, I saw what you said. Let me tell you something. You know what Gaz is? He's been fired. And you know where he's been fired? I mean cremated. And his ashes are in the back of my arcade so I could sprinkle it amongst mediocrity with the bad games. All right? So that's where he is. Gone.
and thank goodness for Gaz. Thank goodness for Gaz for taking one for the team, putting his body out there to fertilize the ground.
Well, he's got to do what he's got to do now. Now he's one with the earth again, so it's fine. It's fine. You know what? That's getting him back. Because every time I miss a show when I'm away, Gaz is like, "Heg's been fired. He's dead."
Bruv, it's lit, bruv. Yeah.
He sounds like a 90-year-old British lady. Excuse me, sir. Can you please reach up and grab me the box of pears that's on the shelf, please?
Could you grab me bum, please? Just grab me a bum. Yeah, that blue number says Stella IGN gave the multiplayer a 6 out of 10. Now, I've heard from Gaz, speak of the devil, that the multiplayer is really great and the people playing it are really liking it. I have a couple quotes that just came up this afternoon. Right. There is an account on Twitter with 843,000 followers called Modern Warzone, and it's obviously a Call of Duty Warzone-centric Twitter handle that helps talk about the game of the community. And this is the tweet they put out today. And I quote, Modern Warzone, "I'm not typically a conspiracy guy, but I've never been more likely to believe that the Xbox tax myth than the I already messed it up. I have never been more likely to believe the Xbox tax myth than I am right now." And when I read that, I was like, likely to believe. I've never been more likely to believe the Xbox tax quote myth than I am right now. Meaning, this big account that talks for the community or speaks with the community thinks that this game's pretty good, and it's getting hate because it's attached to Xbox. Now, before I start talking, Mag, I'm going to give this to you because you and I were here 2 weeks ago saying that we don't believe in the Xbox tax. I said Xbox's tax is most likely their studios not doing that little extra, that above and beyond that earns them that recognition after all this time.
Yeah, we showed, I think somebody sent me a graph actually from this generation of the last 3 years, right? Of all the Xbox games that have been ranked 8.5 and above, and a lot of them were like 9, 9.1, 9.5, 9.4. Even Psychonauts, I think, I think Psychonauts was a high 80s, early 90s, something like that.
Yep.
The Forza games, you're damn near 100% on Flight Simulator, stuff like that. I get like they may not be the games for everybody, but there are games that do score incredibly well for Xbox. The only thing is when it comes to some of those awards, when they have games that are not as big as that, or not what I hate to use, I'm not going to use the word niche, but like if you look like a game like, for example, the Horizon series, right? What do they do? They never put it in the Game of the Year category. It always goes into the what the hell is it called? Not racing. It's something stupid that doesn't sound like it's got nothing to do with racing, but they put it in that category. Is it sports?
Yeah, I think they put it in the sports category.
I think they put it in the sports category. So that's why they always keep getting screwed on that, because usually their highest rated games happen to be the racing games, right? So, I mean, outside of Psychonauts 2, which still stands, as I said last night on Web Dave Show, still stands in my top 5 game of the generation so far. For all consoles, not just Xbox. Now, the interesting thing is that I actually watched, surprise, spoiler alert, I watch a lot of not only Xbox podcasts and stuff. I also listen to PlayStation ones too. I like to keep my finger on the pulse of what everybody's up to. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, a lot of people that talk smack about some of these PlayStation guys, I can tell you with absolute certainty that 2 of the biggest ones, I don't call names on the shows. 3 of them, some of the biggest PlayStation guys all said this is not Microsoft's fault. I swear I almost fell out of my chair.
What? And they're like, Call of Duty is not their fault.
Yeah. They're saying, stop blaming Microsoft for this Call of Duty. It's not their fault. It was in production before. And this is Activision. There's a whole thing about it. They're talking about how if they release this as a DLC, which it was, let's not lie to ourselves, they release it as a full game, because then at that point, what they could do is that the executives, translation scumbags, can give themselves a year-end bonus. But if you release a DLC, they're not eligible for a year-end bonus based on sales. That is a fact. You can look that up. You better fix that, Microsoft. So you know what I mean? So like you know what I mean? That kind of
I'd be better off if he said that after playing Modern Warfare 3, if Modern Warzone's account said that I can understand the Xbox curse. Like there's an Xbox curse that anything Xbox touches is going to be doomed. And since this game released 2 weeks after the official closing of the deal, it's like, if obviously Xbox had nothing to do with the trajectory or the development of this game or how it released or what they would do, but like it's the Midas touch, anything you touch turns to crap. And the Red Wolf just gifted a channel membership to Timmy. Thank you for doing that, Red. That was super nice of you. Timmy, yes, I'll get your order sent out. I should have done it today, but I was running around with no head.
The interesting thing is, Colt, he was a horseman, headless he was. The thing is that it's interesting that you're talking about that. There were actually, I did think for a while, I'm like, man, Microsoft gets the worst breaks sometimes. Like you see when they make these third-party deals, like, a la PlayStation does. You make a third-party deal for an exclusive or a day one in Game Pass, and all of those games bombed. There was like 3 in a row that just didn't work out. One of them was Anthem. This was all like in I think it was like in an 8-month span. And one of the games was Anthem, and I can't for the life of me, Chad, if you can help me out. There were 2 other games, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad for them. It's like remember when they first revealed Anthem? Everybody was going nuts, and I'm like, man,
it looked amazing.
Like, what a big win for Microsoft to get the marketing rights and everything else to that game. I'm like, that is a big win. That's a big W for them, this and that. And then the game turned out we know what happened. And then there were 2 other games right after that, and I was just like, man, there is a bit of a, like, what are the odds, right? And, Sony tasted a bit of that this year with Forspoken. They look at Forspoken. They made a big third-party deal. They put money into it, a lot of advertising, everything else, and the game fell flat on its face, right? It was one of the biggest embarrassments of the year. I know they went back and fixed it. I have not played it, but I'd be interested to know if it actually turned out any good after all this time. But, yeah. So, you know, there's a bit of it there, but, you know, the thing is, it's like when you have, like, for example, I'm going to take Halo.
Okay.
I loved the campaign. And I love the multiplayer, right? I loved it both. Actually, I love the game. I thought it was a fantastic game. It was actually my favorite Halo since Halo 3. And I'm like, this is a great game. Fabulous game. It was just too little, too late. The maps took for bloody ever to get off the ground. The entire player base took off. They left. And the game just tanked, right? It just didn't do anything. It just tanked. Now it's doing well, but I'm like, okay, what is this? The DICE syndrome? We're going to wait 3 years before we make a great shooter? Like, you know, every time DICE releases a game, they're like, don't worry, we'll fix it. And then 2.5 years later, they fix it. And I'm like, well, you know what I mean? Like, look at Battlefront 2, never mind. Or the Battlefields, 2042. They're still trying to, like,
or whatever, you know, it is.
They still got the electric pads on 2042 trying to revive. It's like, clear! And, you know, it's still...
It's the classic, why didn't you just delay it a year and then you'd be in much better shape? But they won't do it. They won't do it.
But they did. They did delay Halo a full year or whatever. And I'm just saying what I'm getting at here is that it was a great game, but as a package it wasn't enough. And it fell short. That was the problem. And because of that you know, it just seems like that's where some of these games go outside of course the Forza games. Mind you, I don't know if I'm not talking smack about it, but I mean, what's going on with Forza Motorsport? Is anybody playing it?
It's
like, what's happening?
I've heard
I haven't heard a word.
It hasn't hit the numbers that they thought, and Forza Motorsport usually is not as prolific or as popular as Grand Theft, as Gran Turismo.
Right.
You think? Yeah.
Or what about Horizon? I mean, didn't Horizon do
Horizon does
numbers?
amazing. Unfortunately, Turn 10 has this very stale racer in comparison to their sister studio with Forza Horizon. You can't beat it. Like it when you're on an Xbox platform, it's kind of tough to play the sim racer Forza Motorsport when Horizon just captures racing in such a great way all the way around. But in my opinion, as a big Forza Motorsport fan, there wasn't enough content there. I did the one style of races all the way through, let's say 55 races, and then it was done. And then it's like, wait 8 days for the next 5 races. I'm like, no. And all that stuff you were saying before a few minutes ago about delays and giving it more time and it's going to be great in 2 years, I can almost hear Turn 10 saying the same thing. Just give us another year or two and it's going to be amazing. I'm like, no, I would have rather wait. I mean, I was really chomping at the bit to play, but I would rather Xbox say it's not coming out until it blows people's pants off.
Well, you know, the thing is, you're right. And the bigger problem is, at the end of the day, is that the gaming space has become so crowded because there's so much money to be made. And let's face it, even from the last generation, the amount of gamers in the world has grown exponentially. As a result, these companies are fighting for our attention, right? So you can't put out, I'm not saying bad, but like if it's not like attention grabbing, if it's not damn near perfect, if it's not a big, well, you know, I'm gonna say the old term of bang or whatever, it's just gonna disappear, and it's gonna get swallowed up because you know what? There's 5 other games fighting for for gamers' attention right now, and on and on and on. I mean, I just bought 3 of them. You know, they had Black Friday deals, and I just bought Alan Wake 2. I got Final Fantasy 16 for super cheap. It was like 60% off or something like that. So I picked up that, and then what was the other one? Oh, RoboCop Rogue City. And Assassin's Creed Mirage, which was also like 50% off. So I picked up all those games, whatever, and they all came out around the same time as, you guessed it, Forza Motorsport. Never mind Call of Duty, right? So, I mean, I didn't buy Call of Duty, but I'm just saying, you know, for people who did, that's a lot of attention grabbing, right? So your product has to be
Alan Wake came out the same time. It's
right, and it's got critical acclaim and everything else. I can't wait to dive into that. But the thing is that you got all these games fighting for your attention, and if you're not running with the big dogs in the front, you're in the back, and that's going to continue to happen because, you know, Sony. I mean, I know Sony's not really doing a whole lot right now, but you have to be a complete idiot to think that they got nothing coming up for the second half of this gen. You remember PS4, nothing came for 4 years before they started, tombstoning the competition with Uncharted 4 in 2017. Because from 2013 to 2017, it was pretty bare bones. And
for 3 solid years. Yeah, I mean, they had we're treading really old ground, but people didn't see it. And I tried to point it out that for some reason, the horrible failure of an Xbox One had better games in the first opening 3 years.
They did.
And you're right, by 2017, Xbox
it's
with
like,
Super Lucky's sale.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, and then PlayStation, the second half of the gen, started crushing it. What's happening this gen?
Yeah.
It's year 3. And they've been pretty quiet about what's coming up for the first party and all this other kind of stuff. We don't know what the hell's going on there.
Let me railroad this. Let me just ramrod this right in here, because this is something I might have talked about later in the show. Let's ramrod right now. Hit the like button if you're having a good time.
Excuse me, Colt. Jesus. Lord.
Hit the like button if you're having a good time on the show. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about, so we'll keep you entertained and informed and all that stuff. But I wanted to talk about this PlayStation thing, because whenever the news is talking about PlayStation and Xbox is quiet on a show like the one that Meg and I do, I'm like, I don't really want to spend too much time talking about PlayStation, but it is funny that right now PlayStation has, let's say they put out 5 exclusives next year, and then they'll probably put out 5 the year after that. 2 of those are from first party. And that's the way it's been for PlayStation for a long time. And I laugh, Mag, when people say, well, this was going to be the first topic. We'll get into it after I talk about this.
Sure.
The first topic being the leapfrog. People say, well, Xbox had to spend $70 billion to get where they are. And I tell these guys, you think that PlayStation Studios has been free? Do you think that majority release of games that are exclusive to the Xbox, to the PlayStation platform, are not paid for, money-hatted games? But because next year, Mag, let's talk about 2024 for a minute. We'll talk about Xbox's 2024 as well during the show, but I don't know if you know off the top of your head. I only slightly know. I could pull up the graphic, but for 2024, what does PlayStation have that you can't get on Xbox?
The Final Fantasy Rebirth. I know that for sure.
Okay, I'll do this.
That's the big one. That's the big one at the beginning of the year. They've got I don't want to call The Last of Us 2 Remastered a game. It's a game, but it's a $10 upgrade.
Oh, it's a first-party game.
I guess I don't know. Let's leave that off the list, because that's not really a game. It's just kind of there as a supplementary game for people who never had it.
It's a $10 upgrade, so yeah.
It's a $10 upgrade. I'm not going to count it.
Okay, so it's not going to get like an official review. If we're going to be totally.
Helldivers 2. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And as we know, Final Fantasy Rebirth, we know nothing else. I would imagine we'll find out more at the game show.
We're pretty sure Stellar Blade is coming, because they sort of said it would come out at the end of this year, and now we think Stellar Blade's coming out. And then is Rise of Ronin also coming out?
That's another one I forgot. Yeah.
Concord's coming out. That's 5. Concord's coming out. They said 2024. And then there's there's probably one more. Let me see if the chat knows.
There's something big. There's something big at the end of the year. They're not going to walk into the fall with nothing. However, we got confirmation that Wolverine is 2025, which makes sense. Insomniac needs to take a bit. I know the name is kind of ironic. It seems like they don't sleep, but they got to take a break. So I think, there's got to be something else that we just don't know about. I don't know. But we'll find out, I guess. But
Boba Fett says, that's it. Foam Stars, which is a money-hatted exclusive from Ubisoft for PlayStation. And then we're pretty sure, people I've talked to are pretty sure Death Stranding 2 is coming. Phase 23, Brooklyn, New York's got Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Helldivers, MLB The Show. Forgot about that. One of my favorites. Rise of Ronin. So he's got 5. Did he add one? MLB. So, I think 7 was kind of what I was shooting for. And the only first-party games are Stellar Blade and I think Rise of Ronin and Helldivers are published by PlayStation. So that's like 3 first-party games, which is a lot more than they had this year. But so I can't remember where I was going with that. But that's
no. I think we're just talking about. We were going into the conversation of, if you're going to release a game and you want it to stick around, then it's got to be able to, stand out above the competition. And the competition is not just PlayStation. Competition is also third party. You know what I mean?
That's third party is a bigger competition than anything.
Yeah,
like you said 10 minutes ago, the games are competing for your time and your money. Yeah, and if you got a guy who won't stop playing a live service game that he plays every night with his friends, maybe it's an older game like League of Legends or something like that. You're trying to get those people off of that game to buy something else. And I think Phil Spencer's talked about that, how games as a service are really, they get to do or die. And it's what PlayStation's dealing with right now. What I was segueing into that is Jez Corden of Windows Central wrote an article today and said, for the first time in history, Xbox is about to leapfrog PlayStation in revenue. And he put up a chart that was calculated showing Tencent, Xbox, and PlayStation and Nintendo in revenue yearly that was projected out from last year's revenue, putting Tencent at almost $16 billion for a year for 2024. And then Xbox behind them at $10 billion and PlayStation in third place at $8 billion now that they have Activision, Blizzard, and everything else. And that didn't go over too well today, Mag.
That's the $10 billion that includes Activision Blizzard?
Yep. Yeah,
okay. All right.
With everything Xbox is doing, and excuse me, I miss Mountain Dew, but I'm drinking some lemonade. Ridiculous. Mountain Dew makes everything better. What we're looking at is gaming revenue. Like it says Microsoft and Sony and Tencent, but make no mistake, this is Xbox game platform revenue. The Sony stuff is all PlayStation platform, Portal, PS5, games on PS Plus Premium Extra, all that is included. And with both sides having 20-some, 30-some studios, this is what the revenue is going to look like. And for the first time, without selling more plastic, Mag, Xbox will have more revenue than PlayStation, and it took quite a bit of purchase power to do it. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
And will the world end?
No, and the key to what you said there was that at the ending there, because of the purchasing power. Now they got to back it up with IP. So now that they've purchased all of these, and basically, in a way, it's almost like brute forcing the revenue by buying, 70 billion. No, not 70. You could say 85 to 90 billion if you include ZeniMax in the deal and whatever else, right? And so you got all that now, and you basically are taking all that revenue from those previous third-party games, now become first-party. Fine. Now, for the longevity of the future, the proof of the pudding is not next year. The proof of the pudding is going to be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now, when those companies that they have acquired start producing IPs. They have to land. Those IPs have to land, and that's the key to all this. And not just Call of Duty. Call of Duty is wonderful. Call of Duty is great. It's the best seller every year. Even if it's crap, it's still the best seller every year, right? But that's not enough. That's not enough to sustain an entire business model around. It is for Activision, maybe, somewhat, but Activision, no, they still got World of Warcraft, they got their Diablo, they got all those games of the service that carry on for literally decades. Right?
And they make so much money because the amount of people playing is crazy. And I want to ask you, Mag, about the longevity or the viability of Call of Duty. Some people are saying that Call of Duty may be on its last legs. We're now seeing the downturn where no one cares about Call of Duty. I've got a couple tweets that post up captured today that kind of goes back to this Xbox tax. A user named Doug B. Dan says, genuinely don't understand Call of Duty getting its worst reviews of all time with Modern Warfare 3. Pause. I mean, he's saying I don't understand, but everybody knows it was rushed out. It was stretched out, Stretch Armstrong DLC where they charge you $70 and they tried to make it a full release. We've seen that done before with other games and no one likes that. He says, especially not the multiplayer. We've had some terrible Call of Duties, but none have ever been scrutinized this heavily by major gaming media outlets and reviewers. What changed? And he has 247,000 views on his tweet. Here's another one, Mag.
What changed? It was a bad game. That's all it is. It's got nothing to do with Xbox. It's got nothing to do like that. That bothers me. I don't like that narrative. Because if a bad game's a bad game, like they can make 15, 16 titles in the series. One of them's gonna be crap at some point. The last one was Ghosts, and I actually liked Ghosts. Funny enough.
Well, I don't have any reason to defend Call of Duty at all. I don't even really like the franchise over the past 10 years. So I wouldn't defend it no matter who owned it. It has nothing to do with that. But I hear from all of my friends who are actually playing they say that the multiplayer is amazing. And I've heard from I heard from so many Xbox guys that the campaign was awesome. And I'm like, I don't know if it was. I can't say because I haven't played it. Modern Warzone, that person that I talked about earlier in the show, had another tweet said, Modern Warfare 3, you ready for this? Yep. Modern Warfare 3 is the best Call of Duty multiplayer we've had in years, but somehow it's also the worst reviewed Call of Duty game of all time. I don't understand it, especially when you compare game scores to other ones like Vanguard, which I remember Vanguard like 3 years ago was really bad. I even tried to play the campaign. I'm like, nah, I'm out. He says, do you think these reviews are deserved? There's two more. Charlie Intel, who's a huge semi-official or a big representative.
I know who Charlie Intel is. Yeah.
He says, PC Gamer Review says Modern Warfare 3 is not fun because Sledgehammer Games PC Gamer's been rough on Starfield and Xbox lately. PC Gamer says Modern Warfare 3 is not fun because Sledgehammer Games took a sledgehammer to the movement that Infinity Ward had in Modern Warfare 2. The reviewer calls slide canceling and faster mantling cheesy techniques. It's just a complaint. One more. PC Gamer says Microsoft celebrates its conquest of Activision and the triumph of capitalism with a montage video that mashes up Modern Warfare, Halo, Diablo, and Starfield and more. And that's an old for the trailer. It's just like a list of all of a sudden there's this Call of Duty hate. But I think, unfortunately, you and I are we're in agreement here that I think you're just looking at one of the worst Call of Duties in a while.
Exactly. It's a bad game. Is a bad game. You could dress up a pig, but it's still a pig at the end of the day. Like I said, I haven't played it, but I know a mountain of people, and I've watched videos, reviews, everything else from actual reputable sources are saying, no, it's not good. It's okay. It's serviceable. It's not bad. It's not like it's not a broken game. The game works. The shooting mechanics are still excellent. The movement, everything else. But at the end of the day, they're like, it's just not great. It's a 6 out of 10. That's it.
Let me ask you, Mag, and the audience somehow simultaneously.
Yeah.
Mag, in your opinion, if you're just going to kind of look as a broad stroke, about what do you think the Call of Duty score overall as a whole, if you were to take them all and give them an out of 10 over the past 14 years or whatever it's been?
I think the average is like 8.5 or 8.6, somewhere around there, but would be my guess, because a lot of them have scored in the 90s. Not a lot, excuse me. There's a handful of them have scored like 90, 91, 80, like high 80s, somewhere around there. I think Vanguard was a lot lower, and I think it was in the 70s. So I think on average, we're looking at about an 86, 87, somewhere around there. That's actually really good. Now, the thing is, what I was about to say there, I said, if this year is not a great year, fine, it's not a great year. Conspiracy theories about people like trash talking the game because Microsoft owns them now. I don't buy it. I just buy that it's a bad game. I've seen the spawn videos. I've seen all that stuff. They're saying it's some of the worst spawning in Call of Duty ever. The campaign wasn't good. Everything felt rushed. They're saying the zombies. I heard the zombies was fun, but some people are saying all it was a war zone with zombies in it, this and that. Although I heard it was good, but I'm not going to pay $100 just to play zombies. So because obviously it's not in Game Pass this year. Now, if Microsoft now has control of Activision, and next year, which I believe the rumors are to be believed that it's going to be Black Ops Gulf War next year, right? And if that game just absolutely crushes, no one's going to say anything. No one's going to say Xbox owns them, so I'm going to give them a 4 out of 10 or whatever. Like on
people should
Steam
be
reviews.
Some
will do that.
They should be savvy enough to say, you know what? When you look back, the Sledgehammer Call of Duties are not the best ones.
They're usually. I was about to say that Sledgehammer has a history of releasing not so great.
What a wonderful
Call
time
of Duties
for Sledgehammer to launch their Call of Duty on the opening of the doors with Xbox. It's like, here we are. They sashay in like, here's
exactly.
our 4 out of 10.
History speaks for itself, and they have struggled with Call of Duty. I think in the future they should be pulled off Call of Duty and go do something else. Go make something else.
I think we've loved the Treyarch Call of Duties, and we've liked the. No, I'm sorry. We've loved the Infinity Ward Call of Duty. Is what I meant to say.
Hell yeah.
We've liked the Treyarch ones, and then the Sledgehammer ones were kind of. I think most people who play them every year go, "Yeah, the Sledgehammer ones aren't that great." And I just wonder, for once, I think maybe Call of Duty this is the worst it's ever been reviewed, and it's just a really horrible timing set of timing for Xbox. So I asked the audience, what is the collective score? I wanted to say in your opinion, like I asked Mag, but if you were just kind of like guess, what is the collective score for all Call of Duties? Right now, the majority are saying around an 8. So according to this vote that just started a minute ago, people would probably think as a whole. Some 700 plus people here. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button if you're having a good time. We're not going to talk about Call of Duty forever. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. But I think, Call of Duty is typically, and I would agree with the numbers right now. If you asked me, Mag, I would say they're about mid 70, high 70 as a whole. For the most part, there's been some that have been completely amazing. Like I think the original Modern Warfare from 09 or whatever it was. People would probably give it like a 9 or a 10 because it just arrested us.
I think it was
back in the day.
I think it was a 90. It was like a 92, 93. I think on Meta. I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, it feels like a 10, right? I remember I went to my friend's house and he was playing. I didn't have a 360 yet, and he was like, "Hang on a second." He was in the middle of a mission, and he got on the helicopter, and then this nuke went off. And the helicopter spun out and crashed. And I was sitting there. And I've been playing it on an Xbox original, like been playing Lego Star Wars with my kid and stuff. And I was like looking at his TV like, are you kidding me right now? So, yeah. Let me grab some super chats here, Mag.
Sure.
You are looking super handsome today. I must say.
I'm aware of it, yes.
You're so like unimpressed. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Thank you,
I know.
Joshua Erickson. The original Modern Warfare meta was 97.
Beautiful. Thank you for checking that. Who was that again?
I knew that it was. Sorry,
it
was Joshua Erickson.
Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that.
97. Like these are, and I went back and I played every single Call of Duty that's ever come out, except for this one. And because we knew exactly what it was. Did you see those videos of the guys who put the physical discs in without being on the internet, and it literally fired up as Modern Warfare 2 and it showed up as DLC?
Oh yeah. I know. And it was showing up that way on. It was showing up that way on.
Then the font changed to Modern Warfare 3. I'm like, oh, surprise, surprise, like that you know that Instagram thing that shows up, surprise, surprise. Yeah, there it is. Like, hell. Go to hell.
You put the disc in, it's like, did you wash your PS5 today? Yeah. Let me read these supers. My life is so ruined with reels. Shout out to Septic Sauce Gaz for ruining my life. Achilles Prime, the Australian $2. Thank you, buddy. He goes, can't wait for Phil Spencer to introduce Zelnick GTA 6. I don't know. I think PlayStation's going to try to get the marketing for that, but just go buy Take-Two and just ruin everyone's world. Would you, Xbox? Just do it. Go buy Embracer as well. They're in trouble.
They're in trouble. Well,
they're laying off a bunch of people. 10% of Crystal Dynamics got laid off. I'm like, Crystal, why are you laying off employees? Like, you're supposed to be getting ready to work with Xbox on Perfect Dark. Like, come on, Xbox, keep these people floating. Dead Planet with the $2 says, rumors Xbox's big show at the TGA. What are your thoughts? I think we said last week, Mag, we better not see Senua talking to herself in a puddle reflection.
Or screaming at the camera again. Yeah, she can't scream at the camera anymore. I want to see
Senua like walk through a dark cave and it transitions into like a very busy grocery store, and she has to try and use a self-checkout thing from someone from the 1600s, and she's like, Biff Rinaldi with the 5. Thank you, Biff Rinaldi. He says, good evening, fellow cultists. Crack that Mountain Dew and sit back for a great show. Hit the like button and go play some Starfield. Thank you very much. I'll stay off I was drinking so much Mountain Dew, I was just like, I need it. Gaz Septic Sauce says, why is Mag pretending to me? Well, when I first had the gameplay up, it said Septic Sauce in your name, so I didn't change the overlay.
Oh, really? That's horrible. Jesus.
You almost
no wonder the numbers went down. Yeah. We were at like 850, and then it went down to 680. I'm like, oh, well, obviously, because the name changed. Yeah.
He says, I have more hair on my pubic area than he has on his head. Well, I hope so. I would hope very much so. Okay. A Boner Jam stops by with a $5. He says, yo, Maglodon and Colt Southwood, what time do we discuss how much better PS5 is than Xbox? Happy Thanksgiving, boys, and hugs and kisses he gives. If you're in North America or you're in America, or I don't know where everybody celebrates it, but this Thursday it's Thanksgiving, so, eat something. That's great. Balding Baby with a 2. They could salvage the loss and put it up on pass. I don't know what we were talking about. Damn it!
What were we talking about? What were we talking about at that time?
Yeah. He's probably talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 because I was talking about this last night while I was playing zombies. I'm like, this is really, really fun. I go, imagine in January, February when everything's all ready to start saying and putting stuff on Game Pass. They're like, hey, remember that Call of Duty that just came out? Yeah, that one last year. Yeah, it's on Game Pass now.
Like, see, that would be like, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, but I'm just going to say, like, that would actually bring a lot of people into the game that maybe were hesitant at first, because then if it's on Game Pass and I hear that Zombies is great, then I'll go play the Zombies. I love Zombies. And then if there were any, like, the spawning issues and whatever else, they had some issues with the multiplayer, guess what? By January, it'll be fixed. Guaranteed. So they could probably, you know what I mean? And then put it on Game Pass with all those fixes in place. Then you got yourself a decent game, right? And then the campaign, well, the campaign's a campaign. You can't really do anything about it. But it is what it is. Some people liked it. Some people thought it was boring. Some people thought it was too short. Some, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. And whatever. You can't change the campaign. However, you could tool the multiplayer and the zombies and release it on Game Pass. You know what I mean? And there you go. And then you watch the engagement shoot through the roof. In fact, I think the smarter ideas would be to launch it the night of the Game Awards, if they're allowed to.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just say, by the way, tonight, after the show, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever. And here you go. And then here's Modern Warfare.
Steven Smith says Mag's room is spectacular in the chat. He says
Thank you, Steven Smith. Yes, I have more cabinets coming, but I kind of had some issues with the NFL Blitz one, and I'm working on a Centipede one as well. So, and you know what the Great White Buffalo is for me that I can't seem to get my hands on? A Dragon's Lair.
Why would you want that? I can't imagine that one being fun to even play.
Because I can't get.
It's so cool though. It really is.
It's so cool that and it was the one that always drew me in. When I was at the arcade, I would stare at it, and then I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And then I would play it and die in 14 seconds. My life goal before I pass on into another world is going to finish Dragon's Lair at one point. I don't care if I'm 93. I'm going to be like, you son of a bitch. And I'll be like, dude, moves my joystick. I'll get him.
We had the pizza place in our city where they had like this little corner room with all the arcade cabinets. There's like 5 or 6 there. And we would go there after baseball games, like clomp around in our cleats, and everyone would go over and huddle around the games. And I remember right there in the corner was that Dragon's Lair, and I swear it was like 4 quarters to play it. And I would watch like my buddy put 4 stirrups hanging out in the back as a baseball player. And then, he'd put 4 quarters in there and die in 1 second and start putting in more quarters. And I go, you're rich, bro. Yeah, no, thank you. But when you get the NFL Blitz, I'm coming over.
Oh, dude, the NFL Blitz is going to be that's going to be the golden goose. The other ones, what I'm trying to do, okay, I'll explain it very quickly in like 30 seconds. I have very specific machines, and the reason why is I'm trying to get a representation of every arcade game I played over the course of 3 solid, well, you could say almost 3.5 solid decades of arcade gaming. And that's why I'm going to get that. There's an Atari one that has the Centipede on it, Millipede, and all that kind of stuff. And what the hell is it called? Tempest and some other games like that. Missile Command, a Lunar Landing, all games like that are going to be on one cabinet. That's to represent the very first games I ever played. The next evolution, which is already behind me, which is Miss Pac-Man, that was the penultimate of my 80s, right? Because that was like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaxian, Galaga. Those are all on the machine. Dig Dug 2 is on there as well. And then we moved on into the 90s, which is the fighting scene, which dominated the 90s for me, which, of course, Mortal Kombat right here. I got all the Mortal Kombats in there. And then the one in the very back is the Street Fighter. It's got all the Street Fighters on there, right? See, back there?
Did you ever play Die Hard, the arcade game? I think it was co-op. It was two-player.
Loved it.
That was good.
Yeah.
Everybody write in the chat what your favorite 80s arcade game is. One that you always either played or you had to go and stand there and watch the demo for 18 minutes while you could smell JoJo's being cooked around the corner. Mine would probably be...
Yep.
It's a toss-up between watching Golden Axe or watching Outrun. I don't know why.
Nice.
I didn't put a lot of quarters in machines when I was a kid. My money went straight to candy, and that's why I don't have any teeth left.
Hey, no, it's because you're old. Sorry, I was going to say the last cabinet was the last video game I ever played in an arcade, which was, I mean, other than the nonsense they have now, which are just those, those Plinko machines or whatever the hell they call them, just for tickets, right? Well, now they're virtual tickets. But I mean, an actual arcade, the last ones I played was when I was already in the restaurant business. My first job was at a bar and grill. And of course, what did they have in the corner there? They had an NFL Blitz. And later on, Big Buck Hunter. So Big Buck Hunter, I used to play with my wife when we were dating before we got married. So Big Buck Hunter's there behind me. And then the last one would be NFL Blitz.
Wasn't that your nickname online and on AOL?
Oh, well, that's the OnlyFans. By the way, No Sauce Pizza. He wanted a shout out because he's got to go back to work or something. He goes, I expect to hear my name later. So No Sauce Pizza, you get a shout out. But let me tell you something. There's nothing worse than a pizza with no sauce. It makes absolutely zero sense. As an Italian, I have to say this is a travesty. So we got to cut that out. We're going to change your name to Extra Sauce Pizza starting next week. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to represent every cabinet from every part of my childhood all the way up into my adulthood. And then that's it. Then I'm done. Then I don't need any other arcades because then I've went from 1979 all the way to 2010. And that's when I stopped playing arcade because, like I said, Big Buck Hunter was just in the bar that I used to play, and they don't have them anymore. So there it is.
Yeah, I was listening to Matt Booty's interview last week. He was interviewed and talked about his time at Midway, which I used to play Cruisin' USA once in a while, and he worked on that game. And he talked about how there was no game engine, there was no hardware. You built the game right on this one specific board. That was the chipboard, and like that was the game. There was no, you didn't have like, here, let me start with, it was like they just built it. And he also explained, I made a video about this that talks about AI, but he explained that everybody did everything. Like the guy who made all the signs that you drove by also did the combat and created, and they, whatever. Those were old days, and there is magic in those cabinets. Hargy Johnny.
Yep.
Hargy Johnny with a $5. Thank you, Hargy. He says, happy Thanksgiving, everyone in the U.S. Happy holidays on the way. He says, we'll drop a couple of codes in the chat. Hargy plays more games and he buys more games. He's amazing. David Kirchhoff with the €6 says, PlayStation games are...
What did he say?
PlayStation games are like Norp movies. You seen one, you seen them all.
That's funny.
When I started up Spider-Man, I don't want to get into the Spider-Man discussion, but when I started it, I was frustrated for the first hour. It felt like they kept taking away control constantly. I would walk, they'd take the game. I would go over and push a button, they'd take the game. I would do something, it would take over. And I was like,
ride a bicycle.
Of course, they don't need to reel you in because I already know I already like that movie. I like that game movie. That was a Freudian slip. Risk it for the biscuit, who's been a channel member for 20 years. He wants you, man.
No, go away, risk it. You have a meeting. I saw you have a meeting. Go to the meeting. Yes. What did he say?
Can you imagine being in a Teams meeting or whatever, and you're like, and Alt Tab over to the podcast? Mag's making fun of me. He says, I have thousands of hours in Call of Duty going all the way back to the first. Yeah, this multiplayer is among the best they've done. It refined Modern Warfare 2 and is almost perfection. And I think maybe he was speaking in a bit of hyperbole, but honestly, from the people who are playing Call of Duty multiplayer, that's mostly what I've heard, that they love it, that it's great. So maybe that's why these big Call of Duty accounts are like, what's with the hate? Because they're not knee deep in the nonsense.
Yeah.
Nintendo the Otaku. Nintendo on the Otaku, thank you for the 5. He says, stop forcing this BS narrative that it's bad to sound neutral. If it's the campaign, then yes, the scores are deserved, but any low review for multiplayer is BS. I agree, Nintendo. If you give the campaign a 4, but multiplayer is the other 3/4 of the game and you think it's great, give the game a 7. I don't care what you give it.
Can I ask a question? Because
yes.
I'm an achievement/trophy hunter. The one thing that always pisses me off about Call of Duty is not always, is that they never put any achievements or trophies on the multiplayer. They do I think Treyarch does it, but the other ones they put all of it like if I'm playing on Xbox, they put all 1,000 achievement points on the campaign, which bothers me because then I'm like,
oh, okay, they do? I didn't know that.
I can't stand it. I mean, I get 1,000 of 1,000 every time, but it just bothers me that they do that, right? Because I want to have, I mean, I know like just gaming and playing the multiplayer is an incentive on its own, and same with zombies, but
sure.
I want more of an incentive. Let me get an achievement or a trophy for finishing zombies, you know, for getting whatever, level 100 in multiplayer, something like that, something to gun for, you know, for
I
like
got
that
one in
rare
zombies. I mean,
trophy.
that is on this one, but I know it's probably different for every game.
Okay. Lethal Papa, by the way, Lethal Papa, what's up? He says they have 100 points for level 55 multiplayer.
Oh, geez. Okay, I think Holly just hit that thing the other day.
Is that it, though? Is that the only one? No, like, zombie?
No, I got 20 or 50 for doing a mission and extraction in zombies.
Oh, good. Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
See, that entices me now a little bit. So, lots of achievements in zombies. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Because if you go back and play Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2, all 1,000 achievement points were put into the campaign. Which is great because I love the campaigns because I always play them once. I play them twice on Veteran, and I get all those achievements. And then I go back and do those stupid ones. You know, it's like, you know, shoot 8 Jeeps in 4 seconds or whatever. You know what I mean? Like on level 5 or whatever the hell it is. And you do that, right? But
yeah, I mean, I know from what it sounds like, I don't really play Call of Duty, but I look back and I'm very sure I've completed every campaign except for Ghost and Vanguard and this one. Actually, I didn't finish last year's. I got all the way to the end and I got a glitch and it made me redo a mission that I hated. So really? I don't know how many there have been, but I'm pretty sure there's only been 4 Call of Duty campaigns I haven't finished. I've done them all. And because they're usually 5 hours and they're always really fun, like bing, bang, bang. Here's this mission, then there's a sniper mission, then there's this big set piece. You're driving something in this one. Call of Duty. And I got to say, because I meant to say while I was showing the footage, it glitched when I came in, but it brings you in on, you fast rope out of a helicopter and you're in this huge war zone map and there's just zombies come up out of the ground and they're just coming from every angle and and it's got this real heavy auto aim and you're just blowing them to pieces. And it's not like the one we played a couple years ago where you're in these tight corridors and you got to kind of funnel them in, which is fun in its own way, but it's got a lot of the same things. You just got to play it and check it out. Let me move to the next one. Highlander 001. Thank you for the 5. He says, my friends and I love the new zombie mode. We just wish that we could get rid of the time limit or make it 2 hours and drop with a party of 4 or 6. So right now it's only 3, but you don't party up. There are like 12 people or 16 people in the world, Mag, but you can have 3 people on your team. So when you see other people, you can't hurt them. They can't hurt you. You're just kind of doing your thing, which is weird. I don't know why it needs to do that.
You help each other out?
Yes. Like if they look like they're getting overrun, you can certainly shoot across the road or go right next to them and shoot zombies with them and help them out. I think you can probably revive them. And what else?
Yoda is alive. Don't be a smartass. I'm sure you didn't play the Black Ops 4 campaign. We know there was no campaign.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
That is funny.
And funny enough, I did play a lot of multiplayer on that early in the beginning, and then I was like, well, this is fine. It's still pretty good.
Okay, so sorry, one more question about the zombies.
Yeah. Go ahead. Maybe this is a question that you were going to ask.
Okay, I was just going to say, is it like just like 360 chaos, or like they're like, okay, we got to get over there, we got to do it, like are they just coming from every angle? Because I can see that getting tiring really quick.
It's like
if there's no strategy, you're just blindly shooting. And
I don't understand it yet because I only played a couple matches, but you drop in and the world is kind of a circle map. It's pretty big, and then it's split into zones: level 1 zombies, level 2, and I think 3. And so you got to be careful where you go. And then you go over, like, you walk like 3 blocks and you activate a little mini quest. And it's like, go turn on the machine and do this. And the blah, blah, blah. And then they go, complete. And then you grab your reward and you're like, go over here, call in the mercenaries. And you do that. And you're kind of killing time looking through all the loot like you do in Fortnite or Warzone. And then you have, it's a 30-minute match or 45-minute match. And then you have 15 minutes to extract. Like you can wait to the end. When I played right before the show, we got there 5 minutes before the extraction started. So we stood in this field shooting zombies, dogs that are on fire, and all kinds of stuff. And then the extraction started. The helicopter came down, and we were there for 10 long minutes blowing the crap out of everything. And we extracted, like 8 of us from the map extracted and got a bunch of XP. So that's the game. It's cool, though.
That's interesting. At X Music, thank you for that. And by the way, the doctor, I'm not drinking beer. I'm drinking sparkling water. Not after the weekend we just had. The doctor was with me. It was a rough one. Anyways, okay. Well, that's sounding like promising. Like I could see them working on that and saying, okay, we're gonna add this and that to it, and like tweak it, make it better, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and they could do things like that over the course of the next month or so. I'm sure they've heard the feedback of people who are happy/unhappy, right?
Yeah. And zombies mode, it could get a little tiring. And I don't mean boring, but like you're shooting a lot of zombies. They just die and they drop ammo or stuff. So you just run over. You don't have to pick up anything. You just walk over the stuff constantly. And it's just a lot of, it's a long 45 minutes of staying on the trigger. And but it's cool. Highlander001 with the $2. Thank you. Highlander says, Mag, you don't want Space Ace. I beat that game.
Space Ace, actually, there is a cabinet that has Dragon's Lair 1, 2, and Space Ace on it. Space Ace was made by the same guy who created Dragon's Lair, so it's a cartoon, interactive cartoon video game. So all 3 of those games are on one cabinet. That's the Great White Buffalo that I can't seem to get my hands on. But anyways, yes, thank you for that though. Yeah,
I'm sure it's expensive. One more, Spartan661, thank you for the 5. He says, happy Thanksgiving to everyone that shares this in the time of the season. The giving is what starts the other half of the season of gifting. Just enjoy. Do you have any big purchases that you're going to gift yourself this holiday season, Mag?
Well, I bought those 3 games I was telling you about. I bought 4 games, Final Fantasy, RoboCop, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and Alan Wake 2. That's it. That's it for pretty much the year. Well, I guess if what's it called, Avatar, whatever it is, of Pandora there does well, if it scores well, then I'll pick that up because my wife wants to play co-op. You don't think so?
It won't, but I'm getting it anyway. I bet it's going to get like a high 60 or a 7, but it still looks fun. I'm going to enjoy it.
Oh, it looks amazing. I mean, it looks pretty solid. But anyway, we'll see what happens when that comes out. But
it's just funny because there's a little bit of Far Cry in that game. Yeah. And the Far Cry games are pretty good, and they don't score all that well. So I'm just like, whatever. That's just, I don't know. Maybe journalists sometimes they just don't have as much fun as other people do. Sometimes I just don't know, but that's fine. That's great. So let's talk about, this is kind of a weird one. We love these guys, right? Jez and Randall Thor.
What? 1 out of 2 is all right. The other one, I don't know. He eats that deep dish pizza nonsense. I don't know anything about that. Steven Smith, yes. Roma for the win. AC Milan's good too. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Love you, Rand. You're such a lovely person. But
he says he doesn't eat that lasagna style pizza. He said that their Chicago style pizza's legit, but.
Well, he doesn't say hi to me anymore. He doesn't tag me in pictures of me when I look like I'm sleeping. He doesn't answer my texts. He basically dumped me, basically. So yeah,
I actually haven't talked to him this weekend. So
maybe he dumped
Rand,
you
if
too.
you're out there, we care about you. They were talking about the Game Awards with Paul Tassi. Paul Tassi is a games segment writer for Forbes, and I followed him for a long time. Really like the guy, but he put me on blast. He put me on blast because I said it would be great. It'd be great if we had a Game Awards that was pushed like the Oscars are by the peers and the developers and the publishers and studios. And I didn't say not the media, which is what, because I said I love Jeff's show, and I do. People get mad that I say I do. I respect Jeff for what he does. I'm glad he has a platform where everybody wants to come and gather and be there in person. I'm glad that he has a platform that people want to say, I want to reveal my game on your stage. I'm grateful for that. And I like the way Jeff does his shows. But his panel's made up of the games industry. And Rand pointed out to me that in the movie, you'll love this, Meg. In the movie and TV business, the Oscars are the de facto decision of what is a great piece of entertainment, right? Oscars are just for movies, right?
Yeah.
He said those are voted on by the peers, the people that the directors, the producers, and the writers, the people in the industry that make that medium.
Yes.
Jeff Keighley's show is decided on 90% by people that write for games journalist sites. So it's a different type of metric. And Paul Tassi said, I don't think it would have mattered, Colt, because we had the DICE Awards that do what you asked for. And in 2022, they didn't win anything. And I was like, you kind of put me on blast, and I'm not used to that. And everyone in the comments was saying, what are you talking about? Xbox had 0 games last year. And I said, Paul, Grounded was their biggest game in 2022. It was their only big game besides Pentiment. And Pentiment wasn't even a big game. So they didn't, he goes, well, we'll just circle back and recircle back in February when they have the DICE Awards now that Starfield is out. And I'm like, but my tweet isn't about Starfield. Like I've said on this show, and I've said in other shows and on Twitter that I don't really believe that Starfield is above a 9 because it's missing key things. You're going to love this, Meg. I've been playing Fallout 4 a lot this weekend. Fallout 4 to me is like, it is why I love the cheeseburger. I know people do food analogies, but this is the only way to say this. People always ask me, if you could have one, no, people don't always ask this. When people say, what food would you like to have the rest of your life? I always say, it's got to be a cheeseburger because it has the soft, it's got the crunchy, it's got the chewy, it's got the it's got all the textures, and it's got all the flavors of the onion, the lettuce, the tomato, the sauce, the soft bun, the meat, and whatever seasonings. Like every time you eat a cheeseburger, and if it's got bacon, it's got all of that crispy, crunchy, chewy goodness. That's what Fallout is for me. Fallout 4, like everywhere you go and everywhere you do, it's got that satisfactory bite. And I didn't get that from Starfield. I'm done talking.
Okay, wait, that was it? You're done?
I don't want to just go on a rant, but do you get what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, yes.
You're a chef, for crying out loud.
I know. And actually, what's ironic is that if it didn't kill you, if it didn't eventually kill you, I would eat cheeseburgers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's my absolute, if I was invincible and nothing could happen to me, I would 100% eat cheeseburgers all day, every day.
Scott, I saw what you said.
Oh, wow. By the way, there was a whole conversation about what's it called? The whole conversation about pizza in there after we talked about the pizza.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, and when people say pizza is my food, that I would say, yeah, I mean, heck yeah. Tell me what we're on a gaming podcast. Tell me what makes the cheeseburger like your thing?
It's because it covers the flavor. It's just the flavor. I don't know what it is. Obviously, I'm a sucker for a flame broiled ground beef. Delicious. You put on the sauce, you put on the ketchup, you put on the mayo, you put on the lettuce, the tomato, the cheese melted on top. The bun has to be soft, not toasted. I think that's the stupidest thing ever. I don't know why people toast buns, except for mine. That's on my OnlyFans page. If anybody wants to check it out.
But the inside of the bun having that little, it's nice. But
I like the soft brioche buns. Those kind of ones. Pushy polygons. Canadian bacon is just called pea meal bacon. But trust me when I tell you, we just eat regular bacon like everybody else. Pea meal bacon is just kind of, it's just kind of there. Anyways, as for the Game Awards, I believe someone else said that
we're going to talk about cheeseburgers for an hour.
Oh, like the chat's laughing. They're all like, we want a cheeseburger now. Well, you know what? We'll do a live stream of us cooking cheeseburgers.
Let's do a poll while you talk about you set up the Game Awards, what you're going to say, and I'll do the poll: pizza versus cheeseburgers, and we'll let the fight commence.
Come on, that's rough. That's rough. That's a rough. Can you vote twice? That's crazy. Anyways, as for the Game Awards, someone mentioned in the chat there, I think it was that the BAFTAs is basically an award show that is voted on by the developers and people in the industry, that kind of thing. Now, what I want to know, okay, I'm going to move this conversation in a direction, in a different direction here for a second, because I think it's something that the chat would like to know, and I want to know. When it comes to the DICE Awards and the BAFTAs coming up after the Keeleys, will they give love from the people in the community? Will they give love to Hogwarts Legacy
after the Keeleys?
Because of what the media did to Hogwarts Legacy, which is so bloody obvious.
Right.
And of course, everybody knows that the media are a bunch of,
wussies.
Well, they're a bunch of pussies, and on top of it, they're the ones that are perpetuating all this crap.
Is this a real thing, Mag? Before you go forward,
sure,
because I've not done I've done the research. Did the media really side skirt Hogwarts because of the J.K. Rowling controversy?
100%. Absolutely 100%.
That is so pitiful.
Absolutely 100%.
What, for their sponsors? Like scare their sponsors, or not to pick a side? What is that?
Well, I don't want to get too deep into that because then I'm going to say something that can,
Yeah, I already did just now.
Sorry, it's the truth. I don't know. The truth gets you in trouble these days. But anyways, the point is 100% that's exactly why they did it. And anyway, the thing is, now that it's going to be people from the community, other developers are going to recognize the hard work that Portkey and WB put into their games, into that game specifically. Mm-hmm. Are they going to give them the recognition that they deserve for putting out one of the best games of the year? That's what I want to know. I want to know if it's going to show up there and have nominations there. There is absolutely no way the game could get completely 100% snubbed the way it did here by the ballless scumbag media that they are that runs whatever their woke ass Hollywood nonsense.
I have to be fair because when you say one of the best games of the year, I agree with you when I look at at least 12 games that stand above as being just an incredible experience in 2023, and there's 6 slots for Keeley, and so I can see why Hogwarts might not make it, but when it comes to them with an agenda like you talk about, I also have to wonder, is Hogwarts that good? And I put it at the top of my 6 favorite games, but not everyone is going to have that room for it.
I'm trying to play every single game of the year before the awards. That's my goal. Now, the only one that I'm not going to buy is, because I'm not really into it, is Baldur's Gate 3. However, for anybody who has a PlayStation, I think if you got PlayStation Premium or Plus Premium, whatever the hell, you get a demo. So you get to play a couple of hours of the game.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you get like 2-3 hours. You get to play the game or whatever. That's good enough for me to see if I'm going to like it or dislike it. Hey, you never know. Maybe it'll make me a believer. I'll be like, hey, I want this game now. This is a lot of fun. So I might get that. Sorry, I also forgot to mention that those 4 games that I purchased, I also bought Super Mario Wonder for the Switch.
Yeah.
And my son is about 3. Well, he's about halfway through the game right now. And I started playing it last night. I've been watching him. And then I played one level with him co-op just because we were giving it a shot. I'm just wrapping up the first world because I play it before I go to bed, right? So I'm so far, it's a Mario game. It's a good Mario game, but is it blow your pants off, make your face melt? Mario game? No, it's just a Mario game.
What about compared to Odyssey, which people actually Odyssey. Galaxy was the one that everyone loved like crazy.
Well, Galaxy,
I haven't heard people say this game is blowing their pants off the back of their crap.
It's really good. It's really good. There's no question. The quality is there. The game is excellent. I think Mario turning into the elephant is actually pretty funny. You can hit all the little what the hell they call the Oompa Loompas there with your tusk. Not with your tusk, with your snout.
Oompa Loompas.
Whatever the hell. I don't know. Whatever the hell they're called. I'm not a Nintendo guy. Anyways, I'm playing the game. It's a lot of fun. And
Koopa Troopas.
Yeah, Koopas.
I'm looking at the Game Award nominees, and for some reason I forgot you were talking about Super Mario Brothers. So when you said Oompa Loompa, I was so lost. I was like, I don't know where Mag's going with this. The Snallsberries taste like Snallsberries.
Yeah,
let me go back to Hogwarts because P-Tran and
maybe you could take Mario Wonder out. And you could have put.
We could say that all night too,
because they already had a Nintendo game in there. They already have. Not.
They don't care about that. They obviously don't care about platform fairness across the board. So P-Tran told me in the chat, reminded me, Colt, Hogwarts got zero nominations. And the very first one, I thought, okay, if they're not going to give it RPG or like maybe action adventure or maybe best score, because I remember the game had a great feel, like the ambient music, the Harry Potter score, which I didn't grow up with, but fell in love with playing the game, like just the feel and the wonder and the music as you're in the different places that had their own tone. And like, that's something that you say, this deserves to be nominated for Game of the Year. And when I look at the nominees while you're talking about Oompa Loompas, I got kind of ticked. Alan Wake 2. I've played 5 or 6 hours of Alan Wake 2. I don't remember the music. I know the music's probably really great. I don't remember the music being, oh my gosh, I'm going to walk around and hum this while I wash the dishes. Baldur's Gate 3, I'm sure those games, game fantasy games have big scores. Final Fantasy 16. Square Enix usually has really great music. Hi-Fi Rush, yes, it's music-based. I don't remember any music from it. It's a great game. And then Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm thinking, Hogwarts didn't get music? It didn't get, let me look at the other one. It didn't get action-adventure nomination, obviously. Mm-hmm. Like, let me look at one more that it should have gotten.
Can I also bring up the fact that Hogwarts Legacy is up for a Grammy Award for its score?
Yes, you can bring that up. I'll allow it.
It's up for a Grammy Award, but not best score with the Scumbag Media because of reasons, right? You telling me, like, look at, like, and never mind the fact I'm a monster Harry Potter fan. I've read the book series 5 times over. I've watched the movies hundreds of times combined of all the movies. Right? I know everything about. I've been to Wizarding World of Harry Potter, flew there from Toronto all the way to Orlando just to go there. Okay? I know every nook and cranny about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That game covered every nook and cranny of that world, even the Fantastic Beasts section, the Room of Requirement, all the secrets of Hogwarts. And the world and the lore and everything else.
And the little stems that it would play when you'd complete something.
Yes.
Were really, really nice. And
incredible game.
Holly in chat says the music for Alan Wake 2 is really great. And P. Simmons said the atmosphere is really great as well in Alan Wake. Yeah, I know people love Alan Wake. I've just been struggling with it. I'm not trying to kick it out of the music one. I was just thinking, I wonder if there was just like kind of that game came out in January, February, and people were like, yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't know. It just makes it hard for me to believe that they would try and stay away from the controversy that I think was so far removed from the game. I don't care if it was the same IP. And normally I don't talk about those politics on here, but I'm like, when that first came up, Meg, when that game was first coming out, I thought, why in the heck are you bringing this up with the video game? Like, especially a video game that had a variety of people and preferences, and then learning what I did about J.K. Rowling, where she does care about other people. She does care about different people.
Isn't that strange?
Isn't that something?
Or she has, by the way, she donates the most money to the foundations for the LGBTQ and trans community, more than any other celebrity in the planet. So, and she's been doing that, not recently. She's been doing that.
But she said things that people don't
weird.
like. And
yeah,
hey,
I know.
Guess what? I've said lots of things that people don't like. But
the thing is, at the end of the day, it was the best selling up until Call of Duty. We're not really sure how Call of Duty is selling yet. But as it stands right now, it's the biggest selling game of the year. What does that tell you? The media can say whatever they want. Disney can do whatever the hell they want with their stupidity and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, the people speak. And the people don't spend money at Disney anymore. They're tanking like you wouldn't believe. All their movies and shows are tanking and everything else. And what happens? Hogwarts Legacy sold through the roof. The people speak for the product, not the media that represents 0.4% of the population. It's nonsense. And that's the only part of the Game Awards that really upset me. Other than that, If Starfield didn't make it, okay. I mean, I know I got a bit of a bias there because it didn't really speak to me, but it is what it is. When you have Starfield there and you have other games there that could have been there, there are games that are just better in different ways or whatever else, right? Or they just came across better to certain people. Fine, I can live with those things. But this thing, so blatantly obvious, it's beyond words. And you know what? You can't even argue. You can't even say, "Oh, you're being like what the hell's that guy's name?" Infowars.
Yeah, Alex Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not Alex Jones, okay? These are facts. Facts don't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about your echo chamber. Facts are, you guessed it, folks, facts. So that's the way it is. And it's just and that's upsetting to see.
Yeah, and to put it really plainly, when I said I'm upset that, I go like this, I'm upset because Hogwarts didn't get nominated for best score. It's not for me. I already liked the score. I already liked the game. It doesn't do me any good. I didn't make the game. This is no bull crap. This is how I am. I am thinking about the creator. I'm a creator. I'm thinking about all those people that worked together and made that game, getting their due. And if it really comes down to a bunch of journalists saying, you know what, would you be better off just staying away from that mess? Then we don't have to hear about it. We don't have people picketing or whatever they think is going to happen, or people throwing stuff at us. What a disservice to the 100 and 300 people that worked on that game and made it so wonderful that even me, a non-Harry Potter fan, played 60 hours of the game and loved it. And exactly. My son played through the whole thing, like did almost everything, and normally doesn't play big games like that. And because some games have that magic and they win you over. And it's cool to see.
It did that. And I saw a lot of people on Xbox and PlayStation all getting the 1,000 out of 1,000 achievement on it and the platinum trophy on it. And that means that they wanted to go into that world. They wanted to stay there. Lone Star, thank you. He said Mag for president. Oh, yeah, Joe Dunmore, Mag for prime minister. I'll beat Trudeau in 5 seconds flat. No problem. I could just go up there and talk about Hogwarts Legacy, and he's like talking about the healthcare system or something. And I'm like, Hogwarts Legacy. And
when you make prime minister, I'm going to show up with extra big teeth like Chris Farley and go, my dad's mayor. My dad's mayor. Yeah, I'll just keep jumping in front of the camera. He's my friend. That's my friend.
See, you know what? And that's why we're going to circle back to how we started this conversation.
Yeah.
I am so curious to see how the BAFTAs and the DICE Awards handle their nominations when they get announced.
The problem is those
curious to see.
Yeah, because those are done by the peers, but they don't have the same. The general gaming community doesn't consider those the de facto award because they always say that the Spike Awards, now converted into the Game Awards, is the deciding factor of what game of the year is or best game. And it's always the one that gets put up on charts and lists. And if I said, well, Halo Infinite won the Golden Joystick, nobody cares about the BAFTA Awards or the DICE Awards. I don't know if that's how people really feel. Even if they don't draw the same amount of people that, let's say, the Keeleys bring, it'd still be interesting to see what gets nominated in the end. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't gain the same traction or the same kind of crowd, I'm curious to see how they react, because now it's not the media pushing their agenda. These are developers who are working side by side with these people and feel the same way.
And they feel the same way because they can appreciate hard work. As a chef, when I used to be in the restaurant business, I'm out of it now. But when I was in it, I used to see the other chefs and the other restaurants and everything else in my direct competition, and I would see them and I would appreciate the hard work of some of the amazing stuff that they were coming up with and whatever, and I would look at those for inspiration, and some of them did the same with me. They would look at what I did for inspiration and say, wow, that's great. Never once would I ever snub somebody for something amazing that they did and say, just because I just happened to be their competition. That's ridiculous, and that's shallow and stupid and petty. I am not that person when it comes to those things. I'm petty in other ways. But anyways, the point is that when it comes to that game, I'm curious to see if their fellow peers will give it the respect it deserves.
Maybe they won't, because it's been such a packed year. I mean, if Hogwarts got snubbed and Starfield got snubbed, I wasn't super surprised, because I heard everybody talk about all these other games we didn't even mention over the past 10 minutes. And if Paul Tassi asked me if he replied to me or sent me a message and said, do you think it'd be different if we look at what DICE awards are going to be next year? And I would probably say, looking at the overall list, if they're picking 6, I think it would mostly be the same. Maybe one Nintendo game would be changed out for something else, but why would you think it'd be wildly different? Because I think obviously when he looks at my account or somebody else does, they think Colt's just trying to vie for Starfield to be game of the year in that one of those slots. But I've said here many times, maybe Starfield doesn't belong there. And I love the game to death, but it's missing that bacon cheeseburger, chewy goodness that all the time. But I really, really liked it. Sometimes when I'm doing nothing, I was just loving walking around planets. So I understand everybody in the chat when they talk about Starfield and they love the game and they love it more than Fallout 4. And maybe I like them both about equally. They're scored about the same. Actually, Starfield's a little lower. But, I mean, really, in the end, Mag, those awards are not for us. They're not for the media. Those awards are for all those people at the studio who have waited to do their reveal, have waited to see their game released, watch the sales charts, watch people talk about it, and then hope one day to walk up and grab that big golden statue and go, you really do. You really love me.
I was going to say take the big golden statue and throw it at your competition.
Lucky Mo with the $2 says, Mag, I love your game room. Is your electric bill high?
No, it's not. These are actually. This is pretty. I was gonna use a term that I don't like. It's a low carbon footprint. It's low power. It's really is just low.
You have to do it. You have to do it in ACM or ACM. What is it?
ASMR.
Yeah, ASMR.
Yes. My gaming setup is actually all low voltage, and what ends up happening is that I very rarely have all the cabinets on at the same time, and as a result, it's not really a problem for the environment, and for even though that we're not the problem, it's other countries that are the problem. But we have to pay the price because everybody hates us.
I don't want to get on my political footstool on my soapbox, but the other countries that don't have all the environmental protection, regulatory setups in their country, where we have many stringent values here in North America to help keep the earth as clean and pure as possible. But barring all that, Meg runs all of those gaming cabinets off of a gas generator.
That billows black smoke.
We also do better. Somebody in the chat, I think it was Steven Smith, says, Colt, when you get into Tesla? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe never.
Yeah, Magnum Westwood. How dare you? Yeah, how dare you? Meanwhile, there's countries that are like, oh, these shoes are no good. They just throw it in the river.
Yikes, they do.
It's like, oh, is this an empty case of beer in the river? But we have to,
we have to, we have to separate our recycling because we're good people. We're really good people. Let's talk about some really famous franchise games that hit the news cycle. Knights of the Old Republic, a Star Wars franchise game, it's pretty much canceled as far as experts are saying.
Yeah, I think it's done. They're just saying, what was it? What's his name? He used to have the hair, now he cut it off. Grubb. And I think Jeff Grubb was saying that he goes, nobody's working on it. I think that's just nobody working on it means it's just not happening. However, wasn't Dead Island 2 in development hell for 13 years and passed hands 4 different times or whatever else?
Yeah, it was 10 plus years.
Yeah, and there were moments in there for at least a year or two where no one was working on it. Yeah. But the assets were there. And they just changed hands as they moved sold the assets from one company to another.
Yeah, the best part is once it moved to its final studio, they started from scratch and totally knocked it out of the park, in our opinion, right? They did a great job.
Yeah, I love that game.
So I don't know what's going on with KOTOR, but Jeff Grubb, who is the Jason Momoa of gaming, he reminds me of Jason Momoa.
He does, yeah.
Actually, Jason Momoa reminds me of Jeff Grubb. How about that? How about those ones? Because I've met Jeff Grubb and I've hung out with him for just a minute at PAX and stuff. So Jeff Grubb, Jason Momoa, KOTOR.
Or they're the same person. They're just the same person, just using different names.
They could be. Yeah. I don't know which ones. I don't know which name's more famous, honestly.
Did he jump into the ocean after that? Would rip his shirt off and jump in the ocean and go down to like Atlantis? Because if it's the same guy, you never know.
I wish we had an Aquaman game, honestly, and that takes us to superheroes. Did you hear about the outrage for Wonder Woman that was spun around the next couple days?
Is it that they were talking about it being a games as a service?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell does that even mean? I mean, it's a single player game. Like, what kind of a service could they possibly provide other than like maybe sell a couple of skins on the side? Like even Tomb Raider does that. So I mean, is that a games as a service now?
That's what I think happened, Meg, because there was a leak or a rumor at the beginning of the end of the week, I think it was, right, of last week, where Wonder Woman is a games as a service because somebody from like LinkedIn or a job posting said that they were doing something for extended content or expanded content or something.
Right.
And so everyone was freaking out that Wonder Woman was going to be games as a service. Everyone in my tweet was like, I'm out. DOA. And then you saw the other tweet.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. At the end of the day, it was just most likely just cosmetics you could purchase, which a lot of single player games do anyway. You know what I mean? You could go in there, you can go to the store. Even the Assassin's Creed games, for crying out loud, they have like the whole store. You can go to that Ubisoft, what the hell is it called? The Ubisoft store. And then you could buy like different costumes, suits. You could buy, for AC Odyssey, you could buy a bloody a Pegasus. So you can go flying through the air instead of like, taking a boat to whatever island. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff.
That's
not a
that.
games as a service.
Dealer bought the Pegasus for $10, and we were in the party chat. We're like, "Why are you doing that?" Because back then we would never spend money on expanded stuff like that or on microtransactions.
Mr. Boomstick XL did the same thing. He bought the Pegasus, and he's like, "I loved it." And I'm like, "Hey, man, it's great."
It doesn't. It like flies for like 5 feet. He was so mad. So anyway, the report comes out that I think WB Monolith Studios heard the outcry for a few days, and it could kill your game, right?
Yeah.
And they said, "Don't worry, it's a single player game. It's a traditional single player game. You play as Wonder Woman." Yeah,
it's not Wonder Women, it's Wonder Woman. It's one person, so it's like, you know what I mean. So like, it's not a Justice League game. It's not anything like that. It's It's a single game, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, they didn't get a hold of that game, Mag. They didn't make it, you can be whatever you want.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, it is what it is. And the thing is, like I said, Wonder Woman's got all kinds of attire, very much like Cassandra from AC Odyssey, right? That basically Cassandra from AC Odyssey basically was Wonder Woman. You could have the same, like the metal skirt. You can have, whatever, the top. You can have a tiara. You have the what is it called? The bullet things on her wrists and all that. You could have different swords, right? You have different shields you could probably buy and boots. And you probably buy them like Fortnite, a couple of bucks you could buy a new suit or whatever. You know what I mean? And get to play as her in a different suit, or maybe you could play as like the suit from Batman Batman versus Superman, the movie. They'll have the movie suit in there or whatever.
I didn't know they were different. I didn't.
Yeah, no, they were just like slightly tweaked here and there, but like, you know what I mean? Like you could do all that kind of stuff. So as a single player game, that's all it is. It's just cosmetics. And that doesn't make it a games as a service.
I mean, it technically does, but not the way that people freak out about, right?
Yes, that's what I meant to say. It's not the way that it's not going to be like the Avengers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can see why people are gun shy. Sappho says, I don't understand why everyone's crying over microtransactions when studios are closing and people are losing their jobs. And I think you and I would be in strict agreement that I don't care about cosmetics or Pegasus. Like, they're in the store. You can buy them if you want. You don't have to buy them if you don't want to buy them. I mean, do you buy the extra outfits for your characters in Ubisoft games?
I do because I get them for free, because I have all those Ubisoft points.
Sure. Have you ever spent like $5 to get one that looked cool that you couldn't?
Yeah, of course I have. Like, but very rarely.
Has anybody come to your house and slapped you for it?
No. And I bought Fortnite skins that I thought were cool. Like I got, what's her name? I got Lara Croft, and I got Kratos, and I think like two other ones, whatever. Like nothing major, but like, for when the rare times that I was playing Fortnite with my son. Yep. I bought a couple cool skins, and that was it. Like, big deal. But yeah,
Can I ask you something related that's very, very controversial?
Of course.
You're like, no. Talking about Halo Infinite.
Yeah,
Talking
what
about
about
Halo Infinite. I would love, I've said this like months ago or a year ago, I would love for them to have franchise-themed armor instead of just Spartan on Spartan. I would love to be able to spend $12 or $15 and get Doom Guy armor on my Master Chief.
Why not?
Are you preach? What would you like to see in the multiplayer modes?
Well, first of all, because that makes sense. I think Gears of War should do a crossover with Halo because they're basically the same kind of that big, bulky, sort of armored up dudes, whatever, and women too, obviously, and they do the thing. Fine. I think that Gears of War and Doom Guy would be perfect for Halo. And the thing is, who's really going to complain at the end of the day? You don't have to buy it. It doesn't affect the game. It's just there for someone who may want it. But who cares what people do with their money?
But if you're on the battlefield and you see a Dua Lipa style Spartan, are you going to get really mad and say they've ruined Halo?
Yeah, well, see, that's a little different because now you're getting into the Fortnite territory where they've got what the hell is it? They got Machine Gun Kelly running around with no shirt on and his stupid blonde hair flowing in the wind, and then you got Jake Paul with an Uzi
or Mr. Beast.
Yeah, Mr. Beast flying around with his ridiculous. But dude, you make $54 million a year. You can't afford to make You can't afford to grow a proper mustache. What's going on with you right now? Let's go.
Who?
Buried alive, Mr. Beast.
Well, he has a mustache.
His mustache is ridiculous, dude. You could buy a mustache, okay, for $54 million a year. He just got buried alive, by the way. Did you see that nonsense? He buried himself alive in a coffin for 7 days.
Oh, 4 days ago, he put 100 wells in Africa and got 5 million views in an hour. I'm asking the chat right now, Mag. I said, would you want to see crossover armor related to Xbox IPs or gaming IPs in Halo Infinite? Even if it was, dare I say, a Spider-Man style armor or Iron Man style armor, or it would kind of, because they did it in Gears. They had Halo Reach armor in Gears 5 multiplayer. And you can buy it, or you could buy Dave Bautista, and people are like, here's my credit card. I don't understand why Halo can't break out and have some more character, have a little bit of fun. I don't want cat ears. I don't want purple versus yellow Spartans. I want a little more than that.
Well, you know what? Look at Mortal Kombat. They put in Jean-Claude Van Damme. They put the Terminator. They put Rambo. They're putting, they put in, what's his name there from Invincible.
Do you have to buy those?
Yeah, you have to buy those, yeah.
Okay.
You've got Homelander coming. That just adds, I know it's ridiculous and silly, because what are the odds of Scorpion bumping into Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre? But here we are. Right?
I don't care.
And then Freddy Krueger was in there, Jason. I loved that stuff. It was just fun and ridiculous, and it's kind of meta in a way, so it's kind of cute. But, at this point, with Halo, maybe when the game comes out, keep it pure until everybody drops off, which the last one it didn't take very long. But you know what I mean? You want to drum some business up, bring some of those characters in for fun. I can see the chat's pissed, by the way.
No. They're voting in the favor of our opinion. As long as it fits, nobody brings these franchises into Halo Infinite if we're saying it's happening. Nobody does that unless the team agrees that it works within. You're not going to have a Lara Croft in there because you have armor on and it just kind of doesn't work. But you have to okay, what? Here's why I think it's cool, because if you want Iron Man, you have to go to Marvel and say how much for the rights to do this, and you pay them. 343 does, right? And then the developers sit there and they make this Iron Man / Halo style armor that when you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, two things that I love. If you're an Iron Man fan, Iron Man and Halo, $20, I gotta have it, and it just perpetuates the money, and then people play because they're like, oh my gosh, look at all these cool skins. And I feel like because the staunch Halo community might not be here in our chat right now, but I feel like
some of them are. I can see they're not happy.
Yeah, and I get that. I don't get it. I just hear it a lot. I mean, what can you give me your take on why you don't think they should be mad?
Well, like I just said, I mean, at the end of the day, if people just spending their money on whatever they want to spend on, it's fine. The only one I think is ridiculous is when it's totally out of place. Like, for example,
most of them are.
Nicki Minaj in COD is utterly ridiculous. Like, we're not asking for, like, Cardi B to show up in Halo, you know what I mean, with her WAP. But, you know, was that her or was that Nicki Minaj? I can't remember which one of the two had that. Maybe that's her special power move. I don't know. So, hey, man, I didn't say anything bad. We all know what it means. Anyways, the point is, Nicki Minaj in Call of Duty.
Today's X&C was brought to you by Bounty Paper Towels.
Yeah. Like, what is she gonna do? Poke your eyes out with her giant fake nails? You know what I mean? Slash your face with her big, like, butterfly, like, eyelashes. Like, you know what I mean? It's stupid. But I mean, those characters, like Gears of War, Doom guy, those make sense because those, like I said, they're basically the same. You could even make a sub-story. Okay, you can even make a sub-story that they went to Earth and the Gears of War guy, or whatever planet the Gears thing happens on, and they happen to go on there, and it just happens to be, you know, those guys exist in the same universe, like a shared universe. I know that's overplayed these days, but hey, man, you can make a little story, 5-minute story, and just tie it together. Be kind of fun.
I love this. I love this chat, and you're talking about like you dip into the metaverse, which is what Fortnite pretends to do because Ariana Grande is in there and stuff like that. So it nothing cannot be in there, right? But the chat is writing like a Spartan Batman, and I thought of a Mass Effect armor, like an N7 armor would be. Oh my gosh, I would buy it so fast. And Hargeet's in the chat. He writes Bounty. I can't remember Hargeet's opinion. I think we've talked about this. I think if I know Hargeet because I've been with him in real life, and he would go, he would do this. He just does I don't know. Just does a shrug. Like, what am I going to do about it? I don't know if Hargeet would vote for. I don't know why we talked about it, but Pete says I want.
Yeah, he wants the Jeff Keighley skin. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm down with that.
It's got to be Jeff Keighley's skin stretched over the armar. It's got to look like
what, like RoboCop?
Yeah, it's just
with
like
that weird skin stretched over like the metal skull.
And he's like,
"Where is it made?"
Welcome to the Game Awards. Yeah, that would be great.
Oh boy.
Yeah. One last thing. One thing that was in the description is that Infinity Ward's starting a new studio, but people were trying to talk about what's going on for 2024. And one thing that came up is a description that shows Clockwork Revolution coming in 2024, and I'm like, why would they say in due time? Why wouldn't they just write 2024 in last June?
It's the safe route. Let's face it. This generation, Xbox hasn't had a great record with releasing games on time. So maybe they just said, let's not say the date until we're 100% certain.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Like they like I said, they had a pretty nasty from 2020 to 2023. They had a pretty bad record of releasing games on time, like especially, and they weren't like little delays. We're talking like full year delays for 3 separate games.
And so, and let's not forget the rest of the industry. Every mainstream game was delayed. Almost every. Yes, they were.
Oh no, I'm specifically talking about Xbox. I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't referring to PlayStation, which had the same issues. Remember? Don't forget they delayed Horizon Forbidden West at least 10 months. I think it was. Remember that?
Yeah, and Gran Turismo 7, Ragnarok.
Yeah, they were all delayed.
Ragnarok was soft delayed an entire year because they did say 22 or 21 or whatever they said.
We're talking Xbox specifically, and with I was about to say Clockwork Orange. They're not doing a Clockwork Orange games, folks. Anyways, yeah, I think that they're the safest bet, the smartest bet, to just say it's coming whenever it's coming. It's in due time, but here it is, something to look forward to. When we get closer to release date, you'll see it again. But until then, just, enjoy what we showed you and speculate. Have some fun with it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But if you start saying June 12th or whatever, then you're putting yourself in a corner. You have to I think they shouldn't announce the release date till the game's gone gold. And then it's ready to be released, because then you can hang on to it for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and then get the marketing machine going, and then release the game in perfect order.
They've been going gold 1 to 2 months before release, but
Make it 6.
I think you're right. Because, they don't go gold that early. They're not ready. Like Matt Booty was explaining in a recent interview that they are bug fixing all the way up until they have to let go of the game.
Right. So
all the way until the game
that?
is releasing, they're still getting the day one patch ready.
So why don't you have the day one patch done 6 months before you release the game? Release the game I'm gonna say release the game internally. Do your day one patch, get all your bugs in, and then let it marinate for another 6 months and then let them play internally.
I mean, I'm sure they do that.
Completed game.
I'm sure they do that, but the publishers are, the platforms, the publishers are pushing so much pressure on them. I've heard that Clockwork Revolution looks really, really good because the first showing, it doesn't look like it blows your pants off your face or off your...
we didn't see anything, Colt. We just saw that weird frame rate animation thing and someone playing a guitar, and that was it. So we didn't see any gameplay.
that was South of Midnight. No, Clockwork Revolution.
Oh, crap. Sorry. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Wrong game. The steampunk game. Yes, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're still right anyway, that you saw maybe 10, 15 seconds of total gameplay.
It reminded me of that. It reminded me a bit of like, what's it called? BioShock.
Yes.
BioShock Infinite, the one in the clouds, right? It kind of had that vibe about it. So I was really interested. Sorry, guys, I messed up the wrong game for the trailer. But works. Yeah, it looked like that one, like the BioShock Infinite game. It had that kind of vibe to it. Yeah, but hey, you know what? We'll see. And when it gets closer to, then, it is what it is. We'll find out. But I think that they should let the game go gold first, then give it another 6 months, and then give a release date. Because then in a marketing machine, you don't need longer than 6 months. Unless you're Grand Theft Auto. You can announce it 3 years in advance, and the hype will never die.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that with recent games where the marketing machine only needs 2 months. Anything after that, and they feel like they're wasting money. We'll see. It would be insane because we have Towerborn. I hear Hellblade Senua's Saga is at the end of the year, not the beginning of the year. They're really pushing to get that eventually out. And then I guess maybe Avowed is... I'm going to put a prediction out that Avowed and Hellblade both come out at the end of the year. And Towerborn is in the early part of the year. And Xbox will go through 4 or 5 months with nothing from first party. Maybe Age of Mythology or something like that not many people care about. So it'll be an interesting year. I know people like to say, Mag, that PlayStation doesn't have a lot next year, but you and I just showed at the beginning of the show they have like 7 games. At least 7 games.
Yeah, it's all about the strategy of where to put them and where to put them up against. And of course, we don't know what's coming out next fall. I have a feeling they're saving probably 2 titles maybe 1 or 2 titles for the next fall as a big thing because also, don't forget, Call of Duty is now a Microsoft game. It's not exclusive. However, it will be, I would imagine, by next year to be on Game Pass, will it not?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that they should make an announcement early next year and just say, hey, that Call of Duty? It's on Game Pass.
No, not that one. I mean, the next one.
The next one.
But the presumably...
absolutely.
The Gulf War.
Absolutely. Gulf War will launch on Game Pass, yeah. Sorry.
So there you go.
I'm writing while I'm listening to you.
You'd have a Clockwork there. I was about to call it Clockwork Orange again because someone else in the chat put it on there. You got the Clockwork game there going. You've got Senua's Saga going. You have Call of Duty in Game Pass. Presumably Gulf War in Game Pass. That's a big lineup right there for the fall. You don't need anything else in the fall.
Yeah, the fall's ruined.
So if they do that, and then you've got third party, which is always going to come strong, right? Pause. So you got the third party that's going to be coming in strong, and then you've got PlayStation with whatever they announce, which will presumably be at the Game Awards or maybe later on. Don't forget, they've also got a couple of other ones in the wings we don't know about. There's also, by the way, Metal Gear Solid. There's also Silent Hill 2 Remake that's coming to PlayStation. That could be a fall lineup game. Maybe an October release.
Death Stranding 2 will probably be at the end of the year.
Maybe Death Stranding 2.
What about this?
So, those are pretty hot games, man. Yeah.
What about Gears Collection coming out in the fall or
Snake Eater?
A Fable remake collection?
We talked about that. I mean, they have to do at some point.
I've heard things, but
I've heard
somebody
things
else
too.
must be working on it. Like, And I just finished Fable 2 this last week. Like, they're ancient games.
What about your Gears of War Unreal Engine 5 remake of the original trilogy? Like, that should be something that should be
what I think
should be coming sooner rather than later, and I think it is, with a Gears 6 announcement for 2025. Right? So, something like that. I mean, those are all big things.
That's more likely.
Happen. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that as we turn around to the next part of the year, there's going to be a lull where Xbox doesn't have anything. And I think if you're on PlayStation, mostly, I don't know when their games are set to come out, but they have a lot.
We'll find out. The Game Awards are going to release a bunch of, listen, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are going to be releasing a whole bunch of trailers at the award show, as they are wont to do, right? And then that's when you're going to get a better picture of 2024, how it's shaping up for all three companies. Also, don't forget that Nintendo's on the verge of launching another console, right? So, which could be coming in as early as late 2024, or if you go by Nintendo's past, usually it might be early 2025, like January to March is when they tend to release new hardware, right? So we'll see there. So, I think that could be an announcement as well. You got your Grand Theft Auto 6 in the wings. There's a lot to digest, man. It's going to be a hell of a couple of years.
24 might be pretty crazy even for Xbox when we talk about the first half might be dry and then the last will be too many games that you can even handle. But it's pretty strongly known that there's going to be this revision of the Series X that comes with the all-new controller with haptics. I really hope this is a real thing because
that would be wise.
Very, very wise. I think they need that uptick, even though they're not competing with selling plastic as much as anybody else. Tyler Candy, thank you so much. What? Who's what?
I was gonna say. I mean, they focus a lot on those controllers.
They do.
The controllers is a big market. If you start making DualSense 5 style controllers with 3D audio, haptic feedback, all that kind of stuff, you're going to sell a boatload, especially if the developers get on board and start implementing it into the controller, the sound, the haptics, and everything else. It adds a whole new experience to the game. That'll get a lot of engagement and a hell of a lot of sales of the hardware, or we'll call the controller hardware. You know what I mean? Into players' hands. Yeah. I'll buy a couple, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I'll buy them.
Shout out to Flippin' Minds for the Pink Floyd reference. It says, "Shine on, you crazy diamond." When I think about those controllers, I think the Xbox controller sells as much as the DualSense 5 does. And when you it's funny to say, most people would probably say the DualSense 5 controller is better than the Series X controller. It's kind of a toss-up because it just depends on who's voting. So let's say they're really close. If Xbox takes what is so amazing about that and adds the haptic that we all love, that haptic feedback from the DualSense, that will be a big deal. Yeah. And that would be people will be buying those controllers like crazy. And I would love to have a revised console with, because I'm wearing this one out.
And especially in the future, if they do this new controller, whatever. And I mean, we saw the little diagrams of it. They say that there was going to be 3D audio built into the little pieces off the side, the one that sit in the palms of your hands, and you're actually going to be able to hear sounds that you wouldn't be able to hear any other way. It's pretty wild tech if it is in fact true. Then the other thing is you've also got the store where you can design your own, right?
Oh, yeah,
where you could, if you start being able to do custom controllers for $120, $130, people will buy that, and they will buy a lot of them. So you know what I mean? That's
your real connection to the game is the controller. More than anything,
absolutely.
We like
your eyes in your hands. Your eyes in your hands.
Yep. I mean, we like the themed consoles, but it's really that controller that makes the big connection. I hope I'll look into that more. Maybe I'll put up a video about that. I have to kind of put that information together. Tyler Candy with a Canadian $10. Thank you so much, Tyler. He says, "Love that you guys always speak the truth. People have an inalienable right to speak their mind, and it's sad that the Hogwarts creators get snubbed because of a media agenda. Hogwarts was a labor of love."
Yes, it was.
And every game is a labor of love, but sometimes games just really speak to all kinds of people, and I feel like Hogwarts was one of those mini games that spoke to young and old, and just people really enjoyed it and felt like because it's always a gamble, right, Mag? When you make a established franchise game, like don't screw it up. And I think for the most part, they
nailed it.
Yeah,
they nailed it. As a Harry Potter fan, and I played even those other. Remember, EA used to make Harry Potter games. They used to make they made Chamber of Secrets. They made like all those games, and they were fun. They were really fun little games, and I really enjoyed them. But this absolutely nailed the world, and the feel, and the sound, and the music, and everything about it. It was just to me, it was perfect. It may not have been like the prettiest at all times or whatever, but to me, it was perfect.
Who would have thought that wand combat would have been so good and so fun?
Good. It was amazing. I loved it.
I remember seeing it in the first preview like a year before it came out, and I was going,
"Yep,
that looks really dumb," and then just felt great.
Yep.
I love that on the show, like we celebrate gaming when it's time to celebrate gaming. Thank you so much for being here, guys. This is the XSC Podcast. This is episode 126, and we really appreciate you being there and helping us be a part of the conversation. The last poll on the way out was, would you want to see a crossover armor related to Xbox or gaming in Halo Infinite? 71% of you said yes. 29% of you said no. And hey, don't worry, we won't make waves either way. No one's going to listen to us and make the big changes. Shout out to Pushing Polygons, big channel sponsor. I put his logo on the layout, so it just looks nicer to see it emblazoned there. And thanks for all of his support. I'll be meeting with him tomorrow to talk about the content he's making. And Meg, thanks so much. And it's late. Man. We do a 2-hour show. We're not going to sit here for 4 hours and talk about mayonnaise. Maybe one day, but
no.
Actually, we did. We talked about cheeseburgers for 20 minutes.
Wow, cheeseburgers are delightful, though. And you know what? Cheeseburgers get mayonnaise on them. So,
well, I got to ask one last question about the cheeseburger, and this is a deciding factor.
All right,
mayonnaise or Miracle Whip?
No, mayonnaise. Miracle Whip is garbage. That is it's the sugar-bound crap salad dressing garbage made by German settlers in the 50s. Garbage.
Is it German? Or are you just making that up?
I was just making that up. But I mean, I remember the commercials because I listen to old time radio shows because I used to, when I was a kid, I used to listen to them, like the scary ghost ones. They used to scare the crap out of me. So I used to listen to the old ghost stories from like the 40s and 50s. There was a radio station that used to play them late at night. So I'd sit there with headphones on in bed, and my brother and I would listen to them and scare the crap out. But they also played the old radio ads from the 40s and 50s.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was wild. And you'd have the guy come in and goes, Miracle Whip. That's right, folks. Miracle Whip. Miracle Whip for all your dressing needs. Whenever you need a salad or anything else, or you're smoking 17 packs of cigarettes and having beef, then there's nothing better than Miracle Whip for your house. Right?
Doctors recommend Miracle Whip. Yeah. It's great for chafing.
Yep. Doctors recommend Miracle Whip and Marlboro cigarettes. Marlboro cigarettes for all your smoking needs, and Miracle Whip for all your salads and sandwiches. And they would do those commercials, and I'm like, oh my God, Miracle Whip is awful. But mayonnaise has to be mayonnaise, and anybody who throw their stick their nose up to mayonnaise, let me tell you something. Mac sauce, it's made with mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's not made with Miracle Whip. Yeah,
exactly.
They always said, "Oh, Miracle Whip, that tangy flavor." I'm like, nobody wants tangy flavor.
No,
that's
you know
not
why?
it's not a compliment.
You know why? Because they put vinegar and sugar in it. That's why. That's what gives that flavor. And I'm like, no.
So mayonnaise is egg. It's an egg and vegetable oil mixed together. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all it is. And Miracle Whip always tasted like it had sugar. It was like mayonnaise with sugar and something else in it.
It's all and vinegar and like all kinds of all the crap. Trust me, it's. Anyhow, no, it's mayonnaise. Mayonnaise or bust, man.
Can I order you a Miracle Whip shirt? Because it would look good on you.
You know what? I'm going to see if they have Miracle Whip shirts. I'll buy one. I'll buy one on Amazon. I'll put it in my own stocking for Christmas. Yeah. Yeah, just stuff it in the stocking. I'll be like, oh, a Miracle Whip shirt. That's weird. How'd that get there? Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So good.
Achievement, Hellman's or bust, baby. Hellman's is the best mayonnaise in the market. Yep. Don't let
depends
Randall
on where
Thor tell you
depends on where you're from. Over here on this side of the U.S., it's called Best Foods. But over on the Midwest and I think East, it's called Hellman's. It's the same brand, I think. Different name.
I don't know. I don't know that they changed the name
Nobody
in some
cares.
parts of the U.S., but yeah, it doesn't matter. Hellman's in some parts of the U.S., but yeah, it doesn't matter. Hellman's is still the boss. Jigga J, what do you mean, Mag, you're wrong? Mag, I'm wrong about what? I'm wrong about nothing. Ask my wife. She said I'm always right. Anyways, Colt,
I'm trying to hit. Tonight. I'm trying to. Yes, thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you for supporting the show. We're doing the best we can with what we have, which is two brains the size of walnuts. And come back here. Yes, come back here next week. Where Mag and I will. I don't know what we'll be talking about, but please come back. We love having you. We love the chat. Thanks for everything. Hit the like button on the way out. This show will go up on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and all of your favorite streaming platforms. So if you're in the car, you can listen to Mag say, I saw what you said.
Yeah, exactly. Scare you so much, it'll drive you right off the road if you have the volume up too high. Yeah.
All right, we're getting out of here.
Yeah. I'm not even going to get into it. Sir, why did you end up off the road? What happened? Well, this guy, Meg, screamed at me, says, I saw what you said, and I drove off the road in fear. Anyways.
The worst is your driver's seat gets crammed over here, and you can't even reach the radio to turn it off, and we're still ranting about mayonnaise while the car's in a ditch. Oh, that's what we do.
Polygons, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. He goes, Mag, what is that caramel toast topping they sell in Canada? It might be, they have this thing called something butter, and it's not butter, obviously. It's like a peanut butter, but it's like sweet. I think that's what he's talking about. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, dude, it's amazing. It's called cookie butter. It's called cookie butter. I'll show you a bottle of it next week.
Isn't that another? I'm sorry to interrupt. Isn't that another Nicki Minaj song?
Well, I don't want to get into Nicki Minaj now. We're gonna get demonetized for the, Jigga J. Miracle Whip is awful. All right, everybody, have a great week. We'll talk to you guys next week. Goodbye.